Okay, welcome back to Hoffner's Little Shop of Horrors. On a previous Brumbar tank update video, I discussed rings and the fact that, well, my ring roller broke one, and two, it was causing problems. It was putting a twist in the Z-axis of the ring. So I embarked on making my own ring roller. The project itself, I wanted to make sure, to do it as cheap as possible. So everything came out of my scrap bin or parts and pieces I already had that I borrowed from another project, and or if I needed something I didn't have, got it from the scrap yard, and then as little as possible from the scrap yard. So that's what I did. I went ahead and made a ring roller. This right here is the ring roller. It's 3 central rings like a slip roller. This is, it's actuated by the bottle jack. Everything came from the scrap bin or from the scrap yard, except obviously for the pillow blocks and nuts and bolts and whatnot. And those would go back to the projects they were originally assigned to. The handle came from the original Harbor Freight ring roller. I just reused that one. The build itself, you can see there's better ways to have built the central support column for the upper roller. However, based upon the materials I had, this was the best possible way to do it with what I had on hand. I wanted to really ideally do it with a central flat piece right here. I was thinking 1/2 inch is what was needed, on each side to actually support this, and then have a center unit similar to this that rode up and down that center column, eliminating all this extra stuff right here and these outer supports right there. However, the scrapyard only had a big piece of 1/2 inch. It'd been about $50, and so I said no, and I just went ahead and did it this way. This actually, I found a few pieces of 1/2 inch strap, and this was actually originally one piece right here, and I welded this all up and got it square. And then welded the columns, got all that stuff square, and I went through and cut these out right here to allow the metal as it bends to come up around and through. The pillow blocks are actually going to be used for the final drive on the Brumbar. I'm just borrowing them right now. The rollers themselves, this is an extra one. I made 4 total. I was assuming, because all this, I was lining this all up by hand and little jigs and whatnot that I made, that I'd need at least 1 extra one, because it's all being done by hand and it wouldn't be close enough. And then I just went through and took the best of the lot, and this one stayed out. So this is what one of the roller looks like. I went through and I scuffed up the sides and whatnot, and that helped to keep it from slipping. The rollers themselves, it's a chunk of 2 inch schedule 40 pipe. I just had some chunks in my junk pile. A piece of round bar, 1 inch round bar, washers on the end, and then everything's just centered up and welded. And that forms the roller. When I first started, I had a number of rings that I'd done with the Harbor Freight ring roller that had a twist in the Z-axis, and I was hoping if I bent these out almost flat that I could run them back through and it would take the Z-axis out, or the twist in the Z, and it did a pretty good job. You can see there's just a little bit of angle there and a little bit of angle there, which is actually, it's not bad. If you roll them, they roll fairly level. It'll be close enough for me. It's as good as my fabrication skills are going to get anyways. Another issue I had when I started actually rolling the new stuff with this one, flat spots, and that's an issue with any slip roller. This is where it contacted the center roller. This is where it contacted the outer roller. That distance right there, you get a flat spot. There's a number of ways to address the flat spot, and at first I thought I'd just just leave the flat spots, and then when I clamp it down around this and weld it, I'll either beat it out or bend it out with a clamp or something like that. And then I thought, no, that's entirely too much work. So I did one or two that way. Then I went through and I decided, well, I'll just take and and pre-bend it a little bit, you know, with a hammer, and you can see it's got the, it's out just a little, you know, it's significantly better. There's still a little bit of flatness to it. It's not as nice and round as this, but that's a whole lot better than the previous flat spot, which would have taken a lot, or it'd take a lot more effort to get that welded and flattened. This is one of the wheels from when I was trying to work with the Harbor Freight rolled rings. You probably can't see it, I don't know if you can, but the whole thing's warped where I try to force the Z-axis out. That one's not serviceable. So what I did, take a piece of flat bar, pre-bend it just a little bit on the tip. And you can see got little bends on the tips right there. That just helps it go through. I've already got one set up right here. Ball jack's ready to go. The only real issues I have while I'm rolling is it's a 2-inch gap here. This is 1.5 inch flat bar. It can get off a little bit, and you know, contact the sides, and you can see the scrapes along the sides from where it's done that. The rollers themselves, for not being solid, do pretty good. The rollers occasionally will flex, especially when they're under a real heavy load. If I'm trying to, you can see I'm contacting the wall right there. If I try to bend too much at one time, they will flex a little bit, but I shouldn't be doing that much bending at one time anyways. So what I'm trying to get out of them, they're doing really well. Another thing, trick they use on the slip rollers to get rid of the flat spots is flip them around. Different angles help to get different, make sure the bend's uniform. It turns real easy, and don't hit the wall, that is. It turns real easy. In fact, I can do it with just finger. It actually turns significantly easier than the Harbor Freight ring roller. Of course, their wheels were much closer together. That makes a difference. I just take it all the way out to the very end. Right at the rollover point. Probably did just a hair bit too much on that last pump. You can see the ring is overformed. And it's hard actually sometimes to gauge because it does have spring to it. So this one comes out won't be quite that much. And it's not, because again, you know, that the rollers had pushed it, you know, to its, there's elasticity in the to where it actually forms the metal. Then see, it just goes. On there. Now you can see where it was over bent just a little bit. It's causing that pocket right there, and I'll just take clamps, clamp them in when I weld it up, and when I spot weld it and get it good and set. So this is just sitting on some slugs that I cut that are the proper distance. Once I set the center portion of the wheel on it, it then is at the proper height to be centered. Then all I have to do is just clamp everything down, you know, from the sides, and just make sure the ring is flat on the surface, and this is flat, and then it's ready to weld. And that is my ring roller. Hope you enjoyed.